the thing about the quantum leaps and the thing about intuition is there is this magical quality to it, right? And, my mentor always says, like, magical thinking is when you're trying to bypass the law of cause and effect. And I agree, like, okay, I can see that. Um, and at the same time, if you're recognizing that God within you is always the first cause, then there's really no way to bypass cause and effect, right? So then you're like, okay, so if I am if I'm surrendering to the desire on my heart, if I'm like, okay, God put this desire on my heart, God within me put this desire on my heart, and I am willing to accept it. I am willing to allow it. I am willing to put my love and devotion and conviction into allowing this seed that God has planted on my heart, into allowing it to grow and thrive. If I am willing to be devoted to that, and I am fueling that desire and that devotion through the power of my imagination and my emotion, right? So I'm grateful that this is the desire that God has put on my heart. I'm grateful that God has, like, that within this seed is everything that it needs to grow and thrive. And I am grateful that everything that I need to um, do, to know, to understand, to be aware of is right here now. I know that because of the laws of the universe, and I can be grateful for that, right? And so I'm like accepting the desire, and I'm holding it, and I'm fueling it through my gratitude and my emotion, like my connection to it. I'm envisioning it with as much specificity as I can see without struggle and ambivalence, right? Where I'm giving it as much detail as I can really see and feel liberated with, right? And I'm holding it consistently, and I'm devoted to it, right? Like, I'm holding it with devotion. Yes, this is what's happening. And I'm anticipating that that seed is going to crack open, and that it's going to grow and flourish and come into form, right, in my life. It's going to happen. I'm anticipating it, and I'm grateful, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be the most amazing adventure. I'm on such a beautiful adventure. I'm so grateful, right? And then my intuition is like, hey, go to the coffee shop. I'm like, hey, okay, I'm going to go to the coffee shop. And I'm going to go to the coffee shop with the intention of letting this deep desire in my heart be front and center in my devotion, right? Like, I have a desire to be part of a community. I have a desire to be of service to a community. I have a desire to have a smile on my face and to, stand tall with my head held high. I have a desire to radiate love and beauty and gratitude everywhere I go, right? Like, I'm going into the coffee shop radiating that desire. And I'm going to the coffee shop because my intuition was like, hey, go to the coffee shop. And I don't know what's going to happen at the coffee shop, but I'm curious. And I'm like, ooh, cool. I have this desire to go to the coffee shop. So something cool is going to happen there. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that it's going to be a part of this beautiful life that is unfolding before my eyes as I follow my intuition, right? And then I have an opportunity to talk to this person, talk to that person, like, or be alone, enjoy your coffee, like, savor the flavor of the coffee, write in your journal, be alone, enjoy your communion with yourself, right? Whatever emerges to do at the coffee shop is just divine, right? It's this divine appointment that I'm showing up for because my intuition said, go to the coffee shop, right? And then I don't know what the ripple effects of that are going to be. Maybe I'll meet somebody. I mean, I definitely got a client sitting at a bar having a glass of wine, chatting with the lady next to me, right? Like, I didn't go to the bar that night to get a client. We were there because it was a beautiful day. We were like, hey, let's walk down to the restaurant that my husband's high school friend owns. Let's sit at the bar and have a glass of wine and enjoy our lives. Like, let's just be happy, right? And so we sat there, and this woman was like, hey, what do you do? And we got to talking, and she's like, oh my God, that's amazing, right? My intention was to go and enjoy and support my husband's friend's small business, right? And just like celebrate, like, we are just we are alive and it's a beautiful day and let's go for a walk and, and be in this space, right? And so that's radiating out of me. And oh, here's a client. Awesome. I made some money that day. Didn't see that coming, but I was open, right? So would I say that that's magical thinking? No, right? Because I'm recognizing that my joy and my desire and my communion with God within me and my dedication and devotion to following my intuition, that's the first cause. That's cause and effect, right? So I would say, like, when you start hearing things like don't go into magical thinking, like remember that, like, following your intuition has the feel of magic, right? There's like this buoyancy and this flow and this unfolding that nobody could really predict, and it's like, oh my god, this is freaking magical. And it is, right? So like, but it comes from the devotion and the gratitude and the conviction of like, even when it's hard, even when it's a struggle, even when I'm laboring, right? Even when I'm efforting, right? I'm thinking about being in physical labor where you're like, okay, I'm freaking laboring right now, but I'm birthing a child and I'm committed and devoted to birthing this child. I am all in to this process, right? And that's first cause, that wholehearted devotion to the desire that God has put on our heart, coupled with the gratitude that that gets to be our life, the feeling that amplifies it all, right? And connects us to it vibrationally. The feeling of like, yes, and the anticipation that, oh my God, it's already here, it's already done. And I just get to walk out this beautiful adventure. I get to walk it out and enjoy it and love it and cherish it. And I get to walk it out with these beautiful humans around me, right? So anyway, I just wanted to speak to that, like, part of you that's like, oh, it's just a fantasy to think that I'm going to walk into a coffee shop and get a client. Like, yes, if you're not plugged in, right? If you're like, oh, I'm desperate, where can I run around town and try to find all the people and like get people to pay me? Like, that's what you saw at the conference, right? People who are like, it's a good business strategy to go to a conference and network, and I'm gonna go get some clients out of this conference, right? I mean, let me get it, get, right? There's that energy. Or there's like the, oh, you know what? I feel intuitively pulled to go to this conference. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to go there because I feel intuitively called. When you're intuitively called to go to a place, then you're like, I don't know what I'm going to give. I don't know what I'm going to receive. But I feel like taking my open heart, my wholehearted devotion into this space, and I'm going to answer that. I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to honor that. Right? And so that is not magical thinking. That is being in the intuitive flow. That is being in the intuitive hustle where you're like, I got the guidance and I followed it immediately because I trusted it. I trusted myself. And magic was the result, but not because I made magic happen, but because it's just, magic is just what it looks like when you're really listening to your heart and following your intuition.